given patient and then mandating this or that drug, the action of which, as we've already noted, is as occult as the treatments favoured by earlier generations of soul doctors, whether they were the removal of portions of the patient's brain or the artificial induction of a severe bout of malaria. My friend is an unhappy woman, traumatised by a neglected and abusive childhood, who in adult life, without any family or effective support network, has found it difficult to cope. The problems she faces would, I've no doubt, be amenable to and effectively ameliorated by good talking therapy combined with far less economic insecurity. Another way of looking at it is that my friend, who's an intelligent, creative and highly empathetic individual, would be much happier in a small and supportive community rather than a large and for the most part indifferent society. Successive public health campaigns have sought to shift the focus of healthcare to prevention from cure. But while the strident campaigns enjoining good physical health are all around us in the form of reams of rules regarding health and safety at work, where are the campaigns and measures directed at preventing poor mental health? True, we're constantly urged to minimise our stress, but there's hardly a blanket ban on those things, such as acute financial anxiety, that are implicated in my friend's condition and those of millions of others. Instead, we have the treatments indicated by the so-called biological model of mental illness. Antidepressants for those who are depressed, taken voluntarily until they become too hysterically miserable, whereupon they're sectioned and given much stronger drugs. How paradoxical it is that the main way we try to achieve this elusive parity of esteem for mental illness is by applying these very crude and very physical nostrums. Of course, it's impossible for clinicians to prescribe community or for politicians to legislate for it while we remain wedded to our current philosophy of financial profit as the measure of all human worth. But it isn't only a matter of economic unsustainability. There's also our own deep-seated fear and anxiety in reaction to mental distress. Faced with someone who cannot tell what's real and what's not, or who responds vocally to the captious voices no one but they can hear, or who rises up into dizzy brilliance only to spiral back down into catatonic torpor, we don't merely walk the other way, we run. But just as the lame or the blind may require a helping hand, the human touch is essential for those beset by seemingly invisible demons. It isn't until we're all able to manifest such esteem for the mentally ill that we'll see any real change in their treatment. The only reason the mentally ill are warehoused out of our sight and subjected to arbitrary treatments is because of the distressing spectacle they present. The paradox is that if we were prepared to accept this spectacle, it would almost certainly become less distressing, for them and for us both.
Turn left now.
A Point of View was written and presented by Will Self. The producer was Adele Armstrong. We'll join Johnny Diamond for Broadcasting House in a minute, but first, tweet of the day. The wildlife gardener and writer Kate Bradbury enjoys that aerial specialist, the Swift, tearing through the skies above her garden in Sussex.
I've just bought a new house in Hove, near Brighton, which has a 50-foot garden, the biggest I've had since I was a child. I'm so excited. As a writer, wildlife gardener and nature lover, I can't wait to find out which species I can attract to it. There'll be birds for sure, but also frogs, slow worms and hopefully hedgehogs, not to mention bees and butterflies. One of my great bird loves is the swift. I love the arc of their sickle-shaped wings, the way they hang around in big screaming gangs, the way they seem to have so much fun tearing through the skies with their mates. As soon as I can, I'll be erecting swift boxes under the eaves of my new house to ensure they return year after year. I've already assessed out the local swift population and I don't think I'll have too much trouble attracting them in. I can't wait to have a garden teeming with wildlife and a house busy with screaming swifts. The best thing about gardening for wildlife is the sheer noisiness of it all. I'm Kate Bradbury. I've once again been enjoying being allowed to sift through the BBC's Tweet of the Day archives, and I've lined up another week of my favourite birds for you, which will begin tomorrow. Yes, you guessed it, the swift.